Welcome in Chiefs Kingdom to Cheifs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Monday. Hopefully everyone had a fun and safe 4th of July weekend. I had a blast going back home, hanging out with friends and family, but I'm ready to tackle this week. We got more Chiefs news and rumors, of course, free agents, what's going on in the AFC West. We got it all. But before we even dive into anything, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on those notifications because we have videos daily. That's right, daily here at Cheifs Latest, Monday through Friday. You're not going to want to miss any of the action. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, as it not only helps me in the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I talked on Friday's episode about a potential homecoming for a wide receiver, and that was Tyreek Hill. Well, I got another potential homecoming, which I don't think will happen, but there is a potential that Mecole Hardman, could he return to Kansas City? Now, I think that trading for Mecole Hardman to reunite him with Patrick Mahomes, that makes sense, from a familiarity standpoint, the fact that he could come in and be plugged in right away and just know what's going on. But if you look at this wide receiver room, it's crowded, and it's crowded with potential as well with the Royals, Hollywood Brown, if he can stay healthy, Rice, Worthy. It's already crowded. We wouldn't need Hardman in the wide receiver room. But then again, his speed, his familiarity with Andy Reid's system, that sounds nice. That sounds great. But I think there are more athletic, I think there's more game-changing options that's going to help this offense more than just bringing in Hardman once again. And it's because that the Packers have a stacked wide receiver room as well. So that is why there is rumors that Hardman would be available and that the Chiefs could go after. But again, it's going to cost you a late round pick for likely a return specialist for the Chiefs because their wide receiver room is already crowded. Rice, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Royals emerging. I feel like this is more of a nostalgia grab than anything. It's not a game changer. It's not a, something that's going to turn heads, move the needle for the Chiefs. This is more just nostalgia. That's all it is. Again, his speed fits among the wide receiver room. Super Bowl 58's game-winning touchdown, people are going to celebrate that. Again, it adds a familiar situational threat for Mahomes. Mecole Hardman was really good in, situations, not necessarily all the time. 6 seasons with the Chiefs means that he's going to come in, he's going to be able to contribute right away. He knows the playbook, he knows special teams. That's going to reduce any learning curve that you may have, especially with someone like Tyquan Thornton that you're bringing in. Again, that Packers depth, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Dattavian Wicks, Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams. I'm trying to name them all. Again, that could push Hardman out. I just listed all those names, pretty decent names there. Why would they need Hardman? Yes, you could cite his recent trade back with the Chiefs and how that was a success. But again, I don't see the need for him with this young talent that the Chiefs have. But looking at his stats last season, 2024, 12 catches, 90 yards in 12 games. 5 rushes, 62 yards, a touchdown, then had that season-ending knee injury in December. Career with the Chiefs overall, 177 receptions, 2,296 yards, 16 touchdowns in 75 games. Not bad. Nothing that, is not impressive. I just think bringing him back once again just doesn't make sense necessarily. Hardman's best case, if he did come back to the Chiefs, his best scenario, wide receiver 4 most likely, and a return specialist or a return specialist behind, Rice, Worthy, and Hollywood Brown. So he could have that 4th spot, but then you have someone like Thornton. Do you keep him? You have someone like Royals who could fight for that 4th spot as well. So it's not even a guarantee, but I think that would be his best scenario. Again, that trade cost at 2026 6th-round pick, similar to the Jets trade 6 for a 7th, so that's feasible there. Again, return game is probably where he would make the most sense. 23.8 yards per kickoff return in his career. That replaces people like Carson Steele, replaces people like Sky Moore. You would address a special teams need. And he's only $1.1 million deal, so that fits within the cap space. But again, I think extensions need to take priority with the Chiefs. So his speed, his playbook knowledge, it makes a return tempting, especially as a return specialist. But again, I think a crowded wide receiver room limits his impact. A cheap trade for a return specialist role, yes, that could help when you look at the special teams needs, but again, he's not a wide receiver solution. So I wouldn't look at it, but there's been Chiefs fans that would like to see a reunion. But again, I think it's just more nostalgia than anything. But I keep talking about these people that the Chiefs could bring in, that, these people that the Chiefs could trade for. Well, they would have to let people go, of course. You can only have so many people on your rosters. So these are some recent Chiefs additions, and one of these additions was recent as in last year. But I think these are some recent additions that are already cut candidates ahead of camp because it kicks off in about 2 weeks. So Kareem Hunt, again, joined last year. Elijah Mitchell, Robert Tonyan, Janarius Robinson. I think they're all likely to be cut candidates. Hunt's 2024 return, again, was fantastic. It was cool to see him back in a Chiefs uniform. I don't want to use the word nostalgic too much in this episode, but it was. It was cool to see him back, turned his life around. 3.8 yards per carry last season, or 3.6. But again, there's this younger options for you. You brought in Brashard Smith, who you drafted. Again, this makes Kareem Hunt kind of expandable. You look at Mitchell's injury history. He's missed the entire 2024 season. That buries him in a crowded running back room. Little upside for Reed's offense there because you don't know what he's going to be like. Tanyan's production doesn't even compete with Kelsey, doesn't compete with Gray. And the Chiefs, as I mentioned in past episodes, they could have some trade options down the line within this position. So I don't think you want to, I think you want to keep that ability open a little bit there. So I think he's also a cut candidate. And then Robinson, minimal impact, 0.5 sacks, not even a full sack. That just is not going to stand out with this Chiefs DN group. Again, making him a likely cut. 90-man roster, you got to get it down to 53. And these new additions that I just talked about and that you've drafted is going to push out fringe players like Robinson. Hunt filled gaps for Pacheco last season. I think, we applaud him, we thank him, but I think there can be an upgrade there at the running back. And if they can get their hands on an upgraded running back before camp, I don't think that's a bad idea, especially someone that might be just a tad younger. But looking at his stats last season for Kareem Hunt, 200 rushes, 728 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3.6 yards per carry. Janarius Robinson, again, not impressive. Half a sack, 2 solo tackles in 10 games. All 4, they're low-cost deals, so every dollar counts when you're looking at extensions or in terms of keeping or bringing in talent. Every, $1 million is going to count. So if you can free up $4 to $8 million right there, that is fantastic. So again, Hunt, Mitchell, Tonyan, Robinson, I think they face cuts as the Chiefs begin to trim their roster during camp because I think there's just more impactful options available within the Chiefs and that are still even out there that can be picked up. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to the AFC West because there's some teams struggling to keep up with the Chiefs as we've known. We've talked about how the Broncos have gotten better, but again, I think while the Chiefs are setting up nicely for this 2025 season, there's still some AFC West teams that aren't, especially the Chargers. The Chargers aren't keeping pace right now in this offseason. Jim Harbaugh's failure to upgrade the Chargers' offensive line is going to hurt them, particularly the interior. That's going to hurt Justin Herbert. That's going to leave him, vulnerable against the Chiefs' pass rush. It's going to be exciting if they can't get that figured out. And also, we poached their cornerback, Christian Fulton. That was a master stroke. So we weakened their secondary as well while helping our defense. So with training camp, again, 2 weeks away, the Chargers' stagnant O-line, it signals that they aren't keeping pace with where the Chiefs are right now. They feel good with their left side. They're figuring it out from there. The Chargers are falling behind it, and I love it. I love it because the Chiefs' 7 straight wins over the Chargers and Fulton's addition, I think that continues. I think we could continue to exploit that weak O-line, and I think just the team as a whole. So what is going on then? Well, Harbaugh's decision to stick with Zion Johnson and Bradley Bozeman. Despite what we saw last year from them in their pass protection struggles, again, that's going to give our D-line a prime matchup. They allowed 44 sacks, the Chargers did last season. Johnson has been such an underwhelming former first-round investment that they've already declined his 5th-year option. Bradley was already a poor option at center. He was ranked 36 overall among NFL centers via Pro Football Focus. So the Chargers now have decided to try Johnson at center, Bozeman at guard. The former hasn't once manned the center position at the pro level, while the latter hasn't played guard since his days in Baltimore back in 2020. So this is what the Chargers have decided to do then. They have decided to fix their concerns along the offensive interior by having the two mediocre at best players switch positions with one another. How does that make sense? I don't get it. Doesn't seem like something, Andy Reid would try or Brett Veach would want to go through with. They would be finding someone. But no, the Chargers just decide to flip the two. And then, like I said, we get Fulton as well. 51 total tackles, 39 solo, 7 passes defended in 15 games last season. So the Chiefs, I'm liking where we're sitting right now. Hopefully no injuries come anytime soon, but I think they're going to be primed for the 2025-26 season. And again, the Chargers falling behind, stagnant O-line, loss of Fulton. I think Kansas City is going to be able to expose their weaknesses in the AFC West race. And I think, too, Harbaugh's failure to, fix the interior line. I just love it. I just love it because we are so focused on getting that fixed that the Chargers are just like, whatever. And I think that's going to come back and bite them. And last but not least, I know I kind of left you guys a little sad last week when I talked about how there is kind of a recent Super Bowl losers curse. Well, I want to break some good news because I don't think the Chiefs are going to deal with that because the Chiefs are the league's best road team. I think their dominance on the road gives them a massive edge coming into this season, despite losing the Super Bowl last season and, that whole hangover and that whole quote unquote curse as of late. But I think the Chiefs, and I just mentioned in the last segment, I think they're primed for this season. 25-9 road record since 2021. They have a 7-2 road record last season. Just proves that Mahomes and Reid, they thrive in these hostile environments. And not only that, we've seen injuries test this team again and again on the road. That has just built that road ability, that road grit. It's forced Reid and the staff to evolve their game plans, to elevate where they are, to, take a step back and look at themselves during this as well. And I think that's really helped this team, really matured this team. And not only that, AFC West road games looming this year, especially when you have to go to Denver, Mile High Stadium. You got to have mental toughness there. And if you have an over-resilience and over-reliance on Mahomes, that's going to risk burnout. We should celebrate this road warrior status, but Beach must, have depth because if we face all these injuries, it's going to be harder to keep this up. You got to have a healthy roster, especially as the AFC gets better and you are going on the road facing these teams. Raiders, Broncos, Chargers, as I just hated on the Chargers, but Broncos have easily gotten better, and the Raiders are going to be a little more competitive than what we've seen. And not only that, when you look at the playoffs, we saw Mahomes go in to Buffalo and Baltimore, and what'd he do? The 2 times that he had to go on the road, because he's been so good that they have not had to play on the road. But what happened the 2 times he had to go on the road? He played great. They won. Again, 7-2 road record last season, 25-9 over the past 4 seasons. In those playoff road games, Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 47 of 62, 456 total yards, and 116 QBR. That's great. He stepped up when he needed to in the road game. So it's not just regular season, it's playoffs too. Now, yes, a small sample of road playoff games, but that just shows you how well that and how much they take care of business in the regular season on the road. And not only that, we've seen Mahomes step up in clutch moments. We've seen him raise the level of play of those around him. This team, despite injuries, despite whatever is thrown at him, the doubt, the hate, whatever it is, they always find a way to get it done. And I've just been talking about the offense. You have McDuffie, Jones, their ability to disrupt home teams' passing games. That plays a huge factor, especially in a passing league. It keeps defensives honest. You have Karlaftis, who brings 8 sacks. That's adding that edge pressure. Now, one thing that I think the Chiefs will need to have better this season, even though it worked a little bit last season, is a better run game, especially after what we saw in the Super Bowl, just 7 handoffs. So a healthy running back room is vital for road clock, or especially for, road clock control. When you're on the road, you want to control the clock, do whatever you can, time management. It's important to have that. So depth players too, because we've seen injuries again and again with the Chiefs year after year, especially in the wide receiver room. That depth, those veterans, whoever's next in line, have to step up. And we've seen that with the Chiefs. Again, that goes back to Mahomes raising the level of players around him. So 25-9 road record since 2021, the playoff prowess. This is the NFL's best road team. Health is the only thing that can maybe throw them off this upcoming season. But then again, we saw the injuries last season and they were able to sustain a good road record. So don't worry about that Super Bowl, hangover curse, the loser curse. Don't worry about it. I like this team and their ability to fight and win on the road. Mahomes, McDuffie, Jones, those guys can carry you in hostile venues. Of course, Kelsey. There's lots of names I can list because that's how good and how great I think that the Chiefs can be this season. And I don't think we need to worry about them on the road, especially don't need to worry about them at Arrowhead. Well, that was Monday's episode. Hopefully, we started the week off right. Hopefully, I got you guys some fun topics, something to talk about, whether it be with friends, family, or at work, wherever it may be. Hopefully, something to spark the brain. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those notifications if you haven't already, because it greatly, greatly helps me and the channel. And go ahead, go in the comments, and let me know what you think about Mecole Hardman coming back to KC. What do you think about those cut candidates? Is there anyone else that we need to be looking out for on the chop block? Also, trouble in LA. What do you guys think about that? And the Chiefs' ability to win on the road. How huge is that to you guys and our success as of late? Again, I am your host, Calvin Silvers. This is Chiefs' Latest daily videos Monday through Friday. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and until next time, have a good one.